And as I was drafting up some notes, I couldn't help but see an undertone of parenting in my notes. And it's probably because I've got a high schooler starting next year. So my little guy is going into ninth grade, and my wife reminded me that for the next 11 years of our lives, this next chapter, we're going to have a high schooler living under our roof. And I'm like, wow, life just got real. You know, buckle up here, Buttercup. I mean, we got high schoolers, right? And so I thought, you know, as I'm gathering these notes, I'm like, these notes could be helpful for young adults, you know, you, in your journeys, really trying to figure out your existence and navigate the marketplace. So I have 3 thoughts on the bigger picture and 3 thoughts that I'm sharing with my children in my home. Okay? Let's see if you can identify with these thoughts. So thought number 1 is the pressure and unrealistic expectations in today's culture. I think it's a little crazy, right, a little loco, that you're asked to make a pretty big decision as a high schooler on college. That's a big decision. And I remember this girl I was going to high school with, her name is Andrea. If you called her Andrea, she got very upset. And so she seemed to have it all figured out at a very young age, what she wanted to do with her life. And I'm looking at her, I'm like, well, how do you know what you want to do? And she's looking at me like, well, how do you not know what you want to do? And I'm thinking that most of you are probably in my camp, where you're like, you didn't really know what you wanted to do. If you did, you'd all be performing brain surgery right now instead of listening to me talk here at Dave & Buster's. All right? So my camp, okay, my posse that I'm rolling with, a friend of mine pursued his teaching degree because a lot of pretty girls were in those classes. And 4 years later, he learned that he didn't care for kids too much. Right? But he's asked to make a career decision at this young, ripe age of 16, 17. And so a few years later, you know, we all come out of school and we've got it all figured out, don't we? I don't think so. So I say to young people trying to figure out, okay, the marketplace, like, what am I to do? You live in America. You have 1,000,001 options here. And I say, take the pressure off. Whatever that pressure is, if you should have it figured out and you got to make these big decisions at a young age, I say, you know what, take the pressure off. And I've really got 2 pieces of advice under this category of taking the pressure off. One is seek growth-oriented experiences. And I would argue that there is no better experience than what you do today, what you're about to do after this meeting, for a person looking to sharpen the most important skills for your career. Now, that's a bold statement, like, well, Jamie, the most important skills? Yeah, the most important skills. I could make that argument. Your communication skills are the most important skills you're ever going to have to acquire. Why? Because chances are none of you have signed up to be a hermit in the Himalayas. You're always going to be around people. One day you'll get married, you'll have a spouse, you have to coexist with that spouse. You have to communicate with that spouse. One day you'll have kids. You're going to have to negotiate bedtimes with your children and all those other things. You're going to have a police officer pull you over. You want to get that one right. You're going to have parent-teacher interviews. You're going to have the angry neighbor. You're going to have the guy that cuts you off on the freeway. You're always going to be around people. So we might as well get this right. And so you think about your communication skills and what you're learning. I mean, in sales, you're really learning how to listen. I mean, who would have thunk that sales is about listening? It is. You have to know, you have to listen to people, and of course you have to speak. You're learning the art of persuasion. You're learning how to public speak. So to me, these are really important skills that you can take, you know, anywhere after this is all said and done. You're also learning leadership skills. You know, how to build confidence in people, how to inspire people to live up to and perform to their maximum potential. So the second piece under this category is, hey, once you have discovered this growth-oriented experience, be a terrific role model. Find a terrific role model, Find a terrific role model to learn from. Be an awesome mentee to a great mentor. Be the Chuck Norris to Bruce Lee. Okay? Funny little story I had Chuck Norris's grandson on my flag football team. Juanita, I don't think I told you that. And I'm like, really? Chuck Norris is your granddad? And so every practice I'm showing up and I'm giving him new Chuck Norris jokes. He's like, dude, I've heard them all. You can't rattle me on any of these Chuck Norris jokes. I've heard them all about my granddad, right? And so I couldn't help but keep thinking, I'm like, your granddad was like the ultimate example, the picture that I want you guys to have of like, listen, you find a mentor in life. You find the Bruce Lees, the best of the best. And you, when they say jump, you say how high. You just be an unbelievable mentee to that mentor. So that's thought number one, is take all the pressure off. Culture, I believe, is giving you the wrong messaging, young age, big decisions. And I'm like, you know what? Take that pressure off. Just gravitate to growth-oriented experiences. Find a great mentor in that. My second thought is your career decision. At some point in time, you're going to have to say, well, it's time for me to put my big boy pants on. Time for me to take this great experience and turn it into a career. I'm sure you guys don't want to wake up at the age of 50 and say, you know what, I've got 30 years of these fantastic experiences under my belt. I haven't got my career yet. No, I think you want to make that decision somewhere between graduation and 50. But at some point in time, you will have to make that career decision. And in my opinion, there is a poor decision-making process and a good decision-making process when it comes to your career, and this is just my opinion. So the poor making decision recipe, if you will, if you want to be really good at making poor decisions for your career, look for something easy and look for something fun, something you really like doing. As I told you, my son is going into high school, and I may have made the mistake of telling him about how much money there is in gaming. I'm like, listen, there's some of these tournaments, I've never been, but you know, AT&T Stadium, the big Jumbotron, and we're talking about millions of dollars on the line for the winners of some of these tournaments. And he says, Dad, you have to help me get that job. That's what he said. Now, don't hate on him. He's a 14-year-old boy, and he thinks like a 14-year-old boy. So, of course, he's gravitating to easy and fun. But good decision-making, different recipe for good decision-making, it's difficult, right? If it's difficult, it's more in demand. There's a higher demand for difficult positions. There's higher pay. There's higher fulfillment. There's higher purpose, higher rewards. So difficult, it's growth-oriented, and it's value-based and purposeful. So if you're looking for the recipe for good decision-making for your career, that's the formula, in my opinion. I want to give you two quick stories. My wife, when we got married, she was contemplating, she graduated from Biola, she was contemplating, going to law school and being a lawyer. But before that big decision, well, let me go work in a law firm. So she was a legal assistant in a law firm, workers' compensation law, and her firm represented the large insurance companies. And after 2 years of working there, she concluded that those that shouldn't get insurance, right, the dad in the backyard throwing the football to Junior, meanwhile he's got a back brace on and he can't walk. So those that shouldn't get it got it, and those that needed it, she was on a case, again, keep in mind, she was representing the insurance companies, where a refrigerator fell on a janitor late at night and pinned him to the ground all night long, and this janitor needed to have his leg amputated. Okay, I won't share the restaurant with you guys because we all like this restaurant, so I'm not even going to go there. And she's representing the insurance companies to try to not have to pay. And so she just concluded that those that needed it didn't receive it, and so that career was obviously not aligned with her values. Like, I'm out. I'm checking out. Another story just on how this business became my career, I think can be summed up with this cute story. Around 15 years ago, the Boys and Girls Club of Venice called me up and said, Jamie, we want to give you an award. We want you to co-share an award. There are two leaders in the community of West Los Angeles we want to recognize as Champion of the Youth. And it's you and it's Coach Ben Howland from the UCLA Bruins, the coach of the men's basketball team. And I'm like, I have no problem co-sharing the stage with Coach Ben Howland. This is awesome. Like, thank you so much. And so the evening of the event, we're behind stage. I knew who Ben was. I knew what he looked like. I know what he does for a career. I have an idea of how much he makes. I mean, so again, I've got all my information loaded. He has no clue to who I am, okay? But I'm asking him all these questions. I was curious on, John Wooden's, pyramid of success. What are your thoughts? How do you get the maximum potential out of your phenom athletes that you have at UCLA? And so I'm asking him all these questions, and he turns to me, and he's like, well, my apologies, I don't know who you are. What do you do? And I explained what we did, and he says to me, it sounds like we have the exact same job. We're coaches. Only difference is you get to work with them 4 years after I do. And so my decision to work here was based on what I understood this position would grow into. Sure, I have to start off in sales and build my resume and build my skills, my communication, my leadership, just as Ben Howland had to start as a player way before he ever became a coach. But it aligned with my values. I had a deep passion to coach and develop people and help others grow and succeed. And so I don't think you guys need me to get on stage and tell you all the wonderful things about our business and our industry. I believe that you're smart and you'll figure it out. I'm just making my pitch to you that you make your career decision based on it's difficult. You gravitate to difficulty. Ease is the enemy, right? If it's easy, anybody can do it. And in tomorrow's day and age, AI is taking all the easy jobs away. So for anybody that's got the mindset of ease, man, you're going to become a dinosaur and a thing of the past. You have to gravitate to difficulty. You got to gravitate to something growth-oriented. You won't get bored if you're growing. It's not Groundhog's Day, day after day. You should be becoming a new person in a new position. And does it align with your values and your purpose? All right, so that's my second thought on make a good career decision. The third thought on big picture is this. Value character and a positive attitude. I've got 3 subpoints under this category of have just a great attitude and value character. How does this relate to big picture? Just go with me on this. Make today your masterpiece, right? Don't chase money, chase excellence. I tell my kids all the time, and I would say this to any of you, I don't care what you do. I'm not biased steering my kids down the path of being an entrepreneur. And I'm not biased steering my kids down the path of you got to be a doctor. I really could care less what they want to do. All I care about is that you're just really good at what you do. The top 5% in any industry, you can do your own homework. The top 5% of any industry make a fortune. So you make today your masterpiece. I mean, last year, it was nice seeing her on the video. Amber Manuz got up last year to receive the award for the best recruiter in the entire company. And I had the privilege of working with Amber in Minnesota for about 1.5 years. And I kept regurgitating that message over and over and over to her. Every week she kept hearing, make today your masterpiece, make today your masterpiece. Well, you string enough of these daily masterpieces together and you see big results. Promotions and money chase Amber. She doesn't have to go chasing after the money. My second thought under value, character, and a positive attitude is, listen, you've got to be tough. Know how to take a punch. Don't be so easy to quit. You will never meet a successful person that tells you, yeah, I just quit my way to the top. It just doesn't make any sense. They stick. One of the best books I read as a young entrepreneur was Forbes' top 40 business stories of all time. It's almost like 40 small little books, 40 Cliff Notes books all in one book. From Henry Ford and Bill Gates, list goes on. And so the common thread of all these guys is they all went through like crazy adversity and they just kept at it until eventually they got it right. So just be tough, man. We got to value toughness. Know how to take a punch. I was talking to Elijah with some of the pain and new systems and things like that he was describing with some of the people on AT&T. And I said, well, I hope that the reps appreciate the pain because they're learning to build new muscles that they wouldn't get if everything was easy. And those muscles are going to help you when you become an owner and you pilot the new stuff. 2 weeks from now, I'm going into Sebastian's office. We piloted a brand new business, a roadshow business at Costco, showing you how to make that egg and whatever. You guys have probably seen these people. This is a new business for us. We've never done that. But reps learn these new muscles and then become owners and start new companies with us. So I hope you appreciate some of the muscles that you have to use that you normally don't have to use. And focus on character, the qualities that make you who you are. Important ones like integrity, follow-through, perseverance, loyalty, kindness, loving, respectful, responsible, self-controlled. Just remember this. Charisma opens doors, yes, but your character keeps you in the door. Focus on your character. Value character and a positive attitude. So, to wrap this up, I recently turned 50. Okay, recently turned 50. And I get applause. Like, good job, Jamie. You did it. And I took my family to Maui. And my birthday happens to be in March. So if you've been to Maui in March, you know that around 1,000 whales all swim to the nice shallow waters around Maui to give birth. And so it's just unbelievable. Every 2 minutes, there's another. You just take them for granted after all. Another whale jumping, another whale. You go underwater snorkeling and you can hear the orchestra of these beautiful whales. I mean, it's just fantastic. We had a magical experience. Took my most loved people in my life, my wife and my 3 children. And when I returned, a lot of people asked, "Hey, Hep, what's it like turning 50?" And they say this with a big smile on their face, okay, with this big smirk, like, "What's it like turning 50?" And I know why they say that. That's just a nice way of saying, "Dude, you're old." Like, there's no spin in that. When you're 50, like, yeah, half century, dude. You're old. Another reason I think people ask that with a smile on their face is because, a lot of people have anxiety about aging. And so on my 50th, I was reflecting on my life, and I had the best word that I could use to describe the feeling that I had on my birthday was contentment. I became a man of faith as a rookie owner. I married really well. Anybody that knows my wife Joanne knows that I hit the jackpot and I married up. Okay? I suggest that to all of you. Marry up, which means some of you are going to marry down. As my wife did, but she's not giving the speech. I am. This is my speech. I have 3 wonderful kids. I am blessed with an awesome career. When I was 20 and thinking of the big picture, I could not have painted a better picture than the life that I lead today. I have a lot of gratitude for how this life of mine has morphed into what it is. And I wish that same contentment for all of you in this room when you reflect on your life at the half-century mark. And so again, big picture, just my thoughts on big picture, gravitate to growth-oriented experiences. 2, make great career decisions. And 3, value character and a positive attitude. That's what I